I'm gonna show you how you make a double folded edge, which is picked up from the wrong side, then folded over towards the right side, and then sewn in place on the right side. This is our top with a round neck, and on this top the technique is used both for the neckline and for the armholes. I am now going to show you how I do this on the neckline. I'm going to start picking up stitches in the transition between the back and the right shoulder, so that will be here because the back is what is facing up right now. But I'm gonna pick up stitches from the wrong side, so I'm gonna just have to turn this around to make that easier. I'm going to pick up my first stitch right here, then another in the stitch right next to it. And the pattern says to skip every third stitch, so now I'm going to jump one stitch ahead to pick up the next one. Picking up one stitch, two stitches. So to show you from a different angle, I now picked up my last stitch in the stitch right there. So the next stitch is this one right here. So I will have to skip that one and pick up my next stitch in this one. Skipping that one, picking up in this one. And then picking up right next to it. You can see on the stitches that I've picked up that these two are close to each other, then there's a gap before these two, a gap, and then these two, and that's how we want it to be for the edge to sit nicely against our body. So I'm going to keep doing this all the way around. Now, when you turn your work over, it's going to have this not so neat edge here because you're picking up the stitches from the wrong side. So this is the edge that you are used to having on the wrong side instead. But don't worry about that, as we will fold fabric over it to hide that edge. I have now reached the correct length for this, and you can knit this to the length that you prefer. So I'm gonna knit this last stitch. I'm gonna start casting off, and to do that I'm using a larger needle size to avoid the cast off being too tight. So I'm just leaving my stitches on this needle, but I'm going to use this new one to knit. Knitting two stitches and pulling the first over the second. And I'll work like this all the way around. Now the cast off is done, and the first thing I'll do is to make this transition here look nice. So I will thread my needle, then I will find the first stitch on the cast on, and I will put my needle through it like that. I will find the last stitch on my cast off, and I will put my needle through the middle of it. And now the beginning and the end of the cast off looks a lot smoother. I will just weave in this loose end before I continue. Now we are going to fold this edge over towards the right side and sew it in place. So it will look like this. To do this, you will want a thinner thread than the yarn that you've been working with, and also a matching color, because the goal here is for that thread to be as invisible as possible. So you can, for example, use a sewing thread in a matching color. I am using a contrasting one, so it will be easier for you to see what I'm doing. I'm going to start sewing down the fold at the transition between the front and the back on top of the shoulder, which is right here. Now when I fold over, it's important that I fold far enough to cover this edge all the way around, which was created when we picked up our stitches, but still not too far in, because then you will lose a lot of the width that this edge is creating. So first I'm gonna go in with my needle from underneath the fabric and then up right outside of this. Make sure to leave a bit of thread, so don't pull it all the way through, but leave a bit so you can secure it at the end. Fold over, and now when you sew, you are going to go through the second stitch on your cast off edge, and you're going to go back through the first one, and you're going back through both layers of fabric so your needle comes out underneath. Now you're going back up through both layers of fabric, in through the third stitch, and back down through the second stitch again. So you're going through each stitch twice. Up through both layers of fabric, into the fourth stitch, and down through the third. And this is the way you're gonna work all the way around until your edge is completely sewn down. This is how it will look from the back when you have sewn a few stitches. And you can see from the front that the sewing is quite discreet even in this contrasting thread.